Well, welcome to Burning Questions. The Victorian Country Cup season certainly is in full swing. And last week we had the first Group 1 of the season. That was the Maori Mile and, of course, the Bendigo Pacing and Cobram Pacing Cups as well. This week we've got the Shepparton Cup on Saturday and the Hamilton Cup on Sunday. No Tim O'Connor this week, so it's me, Ryan Phelan, stepping in with my respected form colleague, Bronte Neuenberg. I reckon she's probably too young to be called a legend, but she's every bit that, isn't she? Karen Manning, OAM, we have to call it OAM these days, and maybe Bow. And a young man certainly on his way to a similar status, I reckon, after winning a national title by a whopping 93 wins. James Herbertson as well. Hi, team.
Hi, how you going?
Kez, are people bowing to you these days now that you've been acknowledged by the kings and queens of the world?
Oh no, not so much now. They started to for a little while. The males changed a bit. They haven't got the fancy title in the male much lately, but it's certainly a fair honour. And Chris Elford was the only one that actually bowed to me every time I saw him at the races, or a curtsy he called it. But look, he's forgotten about that now, or he's getting old. He forgets things now.
No, anyone that loves harness racing, Kez, is indebted to you, and we should all bow to you for what you've done for the industry. And James, what you've achieved, goodness me, at the end of last year and, even the start of this year, goodness me, what a 12 months it's been. Hello to you.
No, mate, it's been great. Had a great run and hopefully it can continue into the future. But, very, very fortunate with the past 12 months.
Got a pretty elite team this week, don't we, Bronte, with Kez and Herbie? And obviously they've got some great chances throughout both the Shepparton Cup, which I know you'll be covering for Trot's Vision and Sky Channel on Saturday night. And then we've got the Hamilton Cup on Sunday.
Yeah, I was excited to be on, Ryan. When you asked me, I thought this was just perfect to help me do my form for especially Saturday night. There's no two better people to help us than James and Karen.
Yeah, well, let's get into it, shall we? Pride's Easy Feed is a big sponsor of Burning Questions. They stand as a proud supporter of the harness racing industry with their set recipes and quality ingredients to give the trainer confidence in what they are feeding. So make the switch to Pride's and start getting the results that you've been chasing. All right, we're going to start with race 4 at Shepparton. This is where both you, James, and Karen both have drives. So the question is, will Anakin use the Force? Is Karen in command? Or will Skyfall win these Star Wars? That's a bit of a nerdy Star Wars reference there, if that went over anyone's heads. But James, we'll start with you. Anakin was a well-backed favourite last week. What did you make of the run and his chances on Saturday night at Shepparton?
I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I do appreciate the effort you put in there, mate. You've done well. Yeah, look, Anakin was very good last week. He wasn't 100%, and he's drawn poorly again here, but he's quite honest, and we'll drive him fairly forward again and see how we go. There's first starter from New Zealand for the Julie Douglas team, Shawnee Lou. Generally when the Kiwis come over, they do a fairly good job fairly quickly for them, so that'll be a bit of a one to keep an eye on, and of course Skyfall Benchmark. He was very good at Melton. I thought there was a lot of merit to that run, and he'll be better again off that run. So, it's quite a strong little race, and I think he can run top 3. But whether he's good enough to sit outside him and beat him, I'm not too sure. But I think he'll be better than what he was last week.
Okay, Kez, you've got direct command in good form, a little awkwardly drawn, but goodness me, well, I think we're all cheering these days for a winner for Greg Norman, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, certainly. Hence why I'm heading to Shepparton. It's sort of nice to be able to get a win, and he's had a few wins the last couple of days this last week. So unfortunately I wasn't driving them, but it was nice to see and cheering them home. So direct command was one of them, and certainly he's not the nicest horse to drive. He has a few tricks up his sleeve, but the draw is good, except for the one is probably not the best horse to be following. But look, hopefully he could be 3 fence at worst, and he'll need a bit of luck from that draw. It's quite a nice little field. That.
How did you assess the race, Bronte?
Yeah, I did some research on the New Zealand horse Shawnee Lou, and just looking at its races, it did have significant gate speed, especially for a New Zealander, but it performed better when it was in front. I asked our good friend Michael Gearan what he thought, and he did think that it would win a few like consecutively when it did arrive in a short time, as James suggested. But I just think looking at its form, it's going to be a horse that's better in front and could get a bit wayward if it has to come wide. So I don't think it's going to cross a horse like Skyfall Benchmark, who I think will work its way to the front. And I think this race could be very map dependent. I think Anakin's the best horse in the race, but from barrier 7, like James has got a really tough task there.
A little bit of a Young Guns rematch there as well. You've got Sean O'Sullivan, Ryan Sanderson on Skyfall Benchmark, James as well, and ever off the back row there with Isha Beach. So good to see the Young Guns all firing up there in race 4. Let's go to our next question. And Logical Staffing Solutions provides labour hire and recruitment services to the transport, warehousing, automotive and manufacturing industries. The logical solution for your staffing needs. So question 2, this pertains to race 5, which is the Shepparton Gold Cup. Now, James, you drive Kanina Problema here for Kerry Ann and Robbie Morris. So the question is, Herbie drives Kanina for New South Wales, but is it newcomer Mickey Pins, Kiwi Tack McLeod, or a local who prevails? Kez, I might get your thoughts here. You don't have a drive in the race, but what did you think of the Shepparton Gold Cup? It's a pretty good addition.
Yeah, certainly a great race on paper. There's no one without a chance really with the right bit of luck, but obviously there's a couple that stand out a little more than the others. And I don't know a lot about Mickey Pins, but obviously Jason Grimson's bringing it down, so it's, you'd expect him to go pretty good. They never go poorly. Drawn a bit awkward though, so that might even it out a little bit. Kanina Problema can, I don't know if you can find the front, James, or not, but certainly will be hard to run down if that's the case. And Tack McLeod, I only saw him for the first time last week and did a really good job at Bendigo. So I only just got named on the post. So I think by you, James, was it? Bulletproof Boy. So, certainly there's a lot with chances if they get the right luck, but probably Mickey Pins is probably going to be the one to watch, I think.
Might go to you, Bronte, because obviously you've seen a lot of this form both in Victoria and New South Wales, and Tack McLeod's first run here in Victoria after a good performance in Sydney up there in one of the junior driver races. Fitter now, of course. So how did you assess the race before we get James's thoughts, who actually has a drive in the race?
Well, I think there's probably not many horses going better or as fast as Bulletproof Boy at the moment, and he's not in this race. So if Tack McLeod did manage to find the front, I don't know who could be that horse running him down late. I know that Kanina Problema, I don't think he's got the same amount of speed that a Bulletproof Boy has if he's on his back. So, I mean, James can tell us if he's planning to hold the front here or take a sit, or if he's keeping that one a bit close as a secret. But Mickey Pins, I haven't tipped for third purely because I think he's going to have to cover too much ground to beat these nice horses. And a horseman I don't want to forget in this field is Rock and Roll Do, because if Arg does manage to get a start and then Rock and Roll Do's one off the fence, I think he's a massive threat in this race second up. He's going to improve off his first up run. But if Rock and Roll Do is on the fence, I wouldn't probably even want him in my numbers. So I'm leaning towards Tack McLeod, but I wouldn't want to see it in the chair.
Kanina Problema, James, from what I've seen, is probably as quick as anything out of the mobile, normally then takes cover, particularly over the 2690. But firstly, talk about the horse's chances and how did Robbie and Kerry Ann reach out to you?
Well, I spoke to Josh Gallagher actually, and Josh said, got a winner here for you, mate. So I'd say they're fairly confident with him, and the horse has been going pretty well. He's come out of the Inter-Dominion series and he's been quite honest. I'd say they'll want to be fairly positive early. Definitely try and find the fence and make up our mind after that. As you say, he's the way they usually drive him over the trips, probably more with a sit, but you never know. Shepparton can be a place where you want to be on the front end at Shep a lot of the time. So, when you're talking about Mickey Pins off the back row as well, it's very hard to come 3 wide at Shep. And, if it can't make a mid-race move, making 3 wide run can be very, very hard, and it can really sort them out. So, it's going to be an interesting race. I'm really looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah, and I personally thought, as Bronny pointed out, Tack McLeod, even though he ran second last week, beaten by a very informed and good horse and Bulletproof Boy, and surely he's only got to come on from that. So I think he's certainly going to be a deserving favourite, and if you certainly get on Tack McLeod's back, you're going to be there with a live chance. Question 3. So this pertains to race 6, and now Kez, you've got Rapid Return, and what I think is a pretty good trotting event here. So the question is, Kez and Rapid Return reunite for the first time since Group 1 success. Is it a win again, or is this a tough test? So, Kez, we'll start with you. Good to see you back on board this runner as well, which you had a Group 1 win in the Vic Bred Series with Rapid Return. And I think since then has been going pretty good, but though without winning.
Yeah, certainly was lucky to pick up the drive on her in the Vic Bred, and a bit of a surprise win there, but certainly her form in the heats was pretty good, and she's never far away. Her last 2 have been good without winning. I guess she has got a bit of gate speed. I don't know how quick out she is, but it's a very even field, and her best form, she's probably a really good chance. Kingsguard's flying at the minute, in probably slightly weaker races, but on the up, so he'll be hard to beat. And and the Chris Vinocio team, you can never underestimate them. They're always going pretty good. So it'd be a good, interesting race, and it is very even, but it's over the longer distance, which probably suits Rapid Return a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting one as far as the leg of the quaddie is concerned as well. James, you've driven Picket Wire before, who's drawn 1. You've got More Wanted 2. Aldebaran Miley 3's got speed. Aldebaran and Crux maybe won't get involved from 4. Kingsguard, who's Karen's mentioned, is going well. Rapid Return has drawn 6. Illawong Stardust can show speed. Then off the back row, you've got to face as Phoenix Berries and Cherries. It's a pretty even race. How did you view it?
Yeah, it really is. Kingsguard's backing up from Cobram on the weekend. I didn't watch the race, but it's a bit of a step up in class from that sort of field. Her Faces Phoenix has been fairly honest lately, but from inside the back row, it's probably not his cup of tea. It's really an interesting race. I do think that Rapid Return is the class runner, but I also don't mind Illawong Stardust. It'll be at odds, I'd say, even each way. I think there's some merit to her form, and she hasn't drawn well, but I do think that she's been sort of a forgotten runner in her last few starts. You forget her second last start. She had a bit of a misdemeanor on the gate, but before that she ran 4th behind some quite good runners, and even last start was another honest 4th. So I think she's back down in class a little bit, and she can be thereabouts.
Yeah, Sean O'Sullivan and Jim O'Sullivan. I think Dan Malecki tipped this horse a couple of starts ago as well, Illawong Stardust. So it is getting noticed. Bronte, your thoughts on race 6 at Shepparton?
Yeah, I had really similar thoughts to James with Illawong Stardust. It's run behind Ebenezer Avenger a few starts back. It actually probably could have got close to winning if it didn't get held up and lost its momentum at the bend there. And that was the free-for-all trot. So much harder race than this. But I still had Karen on top with Rapid Return. I think that's the class runner at this stage. And I don't think Berries and Cherries is going to be too far away. I have it tipped for 3rd from Barrier 9. It's going to be able to settle early. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if John Caldo tried to get the fence on More Wanted, not to hold the front, but just to get on the fence, as that's where the horse performs best. So if Berries and Cherries gets that ride forward at the start, it could get into quite a good position. So I'm sticking with the mares in this field.
Yeah, look, I was the same. I thought Kez had the winning drive with Rapid Return, but goodness me, Aldebaran and Crux. She's got the ability there, but she's just not putting it together. I think when she does, she can make a pretty nice trotter. Before we move away from Shepparton, Kez, I might just mention some of your other drives, and if you want to give any of those a shout out. Race 1, number 1, you're driving Cheers to Lou. We've spoken about Direct Command and Rapid Return. The other one you've got is Race 8, number 9, Blue Comb, and Cheers to Lou, a last start winner.
Yeah, he's back in quite good form. He's a nice little horse. Probably stepped up in class here a little bit the draw will help in the distance. If he can get a nice little sit in there, he's maybe a sneaky place chance from the draw. But Blue Coman in the last he's honest. He's never far away. He made a mistake last week. I'm not sure why, but it's probably a step down in class for him a little bit. But he's drawn a bit tricky, but over a mile, so he's never far away, but doesn't win very often.
And Herbie, your other drives outside of Anakin and Kanina Problema, Cure Beauty race 3, number 3, and Bitter Iris Luck race 8, number 1. I was actually talking to Matt Newbury at Bendigo last week. He said, look out for Cure Beauty next time when James Herbertson gets back on. I looked at the replay and she was pretty good last week.
Yeah, he was quite happy with her, and even the other horse, he's quite happy with him. So, she can prove when she's on the job that she's quite a good miler. But then she can throw one in every now and then it's really not that great. So hopefully she turns up on Saturday night and she can run a decent race. There's quite a bit of form in that race. Rudy G's quite a strong horse, and he can run a good mile. And you got Scared Stiff for Jackson Painting. He wouldn't be coming down to Shepparton without a reason. So it's quite an even little race, and if she turns up, she'll be thereabouts.
Yeah, for sure and certain. Well, let's turn our attention to Sunday. Focus on the Hamilton Cup, which is race 7 on the program. Kez, you've got Lincoln River, and Herbie, we can confirm you're driving Blake Bolak.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
Blake Bolak for James. So the question is, the Hamilton Cup boasts stars on the rise: Storm Rider, Young Bluey, and D-Row, or can one of yours spring a surprise? So, Kez, let's start with you. Lincoln River, a few starts back now, should be getting the right level of fitness for a race like this.
Yeah, he certainly, his work's improved the last few weeks. His first up run, he got a bit of a check in the back straight in a fast last half, and then sort of couldn't pick up again. I was probably a touch disappointed with him there, but he had excuses. And then he had a good run in front at Bendigo last week, but did have to do a little bit to find the front, which probably isn't his go. So I'm very hopeful that the emergency doesn't get a start. That would help me a lot to just have a nice posse and tuck him away, because I think he's a better sprint horse. So he's up in class a little bit for what he's been racing, but certainly I do like him a lot. He does have a lot of ability, and given the right run, he will run on well. But yeah, it's just a matter of where he gets to in the run and in a really nice field. Yeah,
I love the look at him too. He's a little pocket rocket powerhouse, isn't he? He's one of my little favourites to look at, Lincoln River. James, you're driving Blake Bolak. Look, I thought the speed map looked interesting here. You come out of 3, Storm Rider 4, Exotic Bushranger 5, and then you've probably got D-Row, I'd say, going back from that draw. Gee, it's a really good quality race. How did you first think about the speed map? Where do you see yourself in it in the race overall?
Look, he's not blessed with great gate speed, and he's sort of honest early, can sort of hold his spot enough. He was pretty revved up last week, and he ran a super race under the circumstances, parking out in 51 and finishing right with Andy's horse there at Melton. But yeah, I thought I could be fairly positive early and try and get to the fence and see how we go from there. He's a very tough horse, and he just keeps lifting the bar, and whatever you sort of throw at him, he seems to be able to cop it. So, we might throw a fair bit at him on Sunday and see if he swims or sinks. But yeah, look, Storm Rider's been good, but he's been hand at the front on both occasions, the last 2 starts. And I really don't think that they can afford to bustle him too much early. If he gets revvy, I just don't think he's going to be quite there at the finish. So I think that's in our favour. And Exotic Bushranger's not blessed with great skate speed either. He's probably a bit like my bloke. They do enough to hold their own, but you can't be super tactical with them because they lack a bit of ping. So look, I think that the front row's in our favour and the draw's in our favour. And his form is very good. He beat Ultimate Vinny at Terang, his second last start, and he came out and ran third in the Bendigo Cup, beat Tango Tara last start, and he came out and won again on Saturday night. So there's a lot of form there in that, but he is stepping up in class and he's stepping up in distance as well. So it's going to be a real sort of gauge for him on Sunday.
And that aforementioned horse of Andy's that you referenced was Tango Tara, who's flying at the moment. So it's a good form line for Blake Bolak. He's won his last two, of course, including Bendigo last Saturday night. Bronte, it's just a race of such depth, and I think a lot of these will definitely be making the progression to free-for-all class. How did you see it?
I think this race depends on what Amy Day does with Dance Away, because if she holds the front, which sometimes they can do with this horse, when Dance Away is on song, he can just roll along in front. And if Amy does hold the front, I think it's, the horses that are good sweepers like Tiger Bandwagon, Young Bluey and D-Roy, they're going to be storming home late. But if a horse like Blake Bolak or Storm Rider finds the front early, then I kind of think the race might be over at the start, because they're such tough horses, especially Blake Bolak, like James said. So the horses on the front line, I would say Blake Bolak, Storm Rider, Exotic Bush Ranger, they're all very tough horses. And if they do find the front, I can't see someone running it down. But if Dance Away holds the front, I think it's a very open race that's maybe set up for a sweeper late.
Yeah, I did the form for the meeting. I love this race. And any way I looked at it, I just wanted to be with Young Bluey after his run in the Bendigo Cup. He just had a lap full of horse. Did Jason Lee. And, the fact that he's made that step up, Young Bluey just keeps progressing. He's going to need luck, but, gee, I just want to be with him. But I thought, Kez, your horse, Lincoln River, had a good chance. Storm Rider, for what we've mentioned, I think is probably deserving of favouritism. But in saying that, I think he's maybe a horse, as you correctly pointed out, James, that you could probably take on in a race like this. It's just got so much depth. So it's an absolute ripper, that Hamilton Cup, sponsored by Matthews Petroleum. That race goes on Sunday at 7:27 p.m. Before we get away from that meeting and your best bets, Kez, I just want to touch on your other drives for the meeting. Race 1, number 7, Talk Power. Race 2, number 7, Eastbro Chrissy. Race 3, number 3, Famous Label. Race 4, number 5, Huxham Chubb. Thoughts on any of those in particular?
Yeah, Talk Power. Obviously, he's just come out of 2-year-old into the open class kind of thing, but he's a lovely little horse. He's just drawn bad, unfortunately, in 7. His run last start was again, it was nearly equivalent of a metro race that he was in, and he got a little bit held up, so his run probably didn't look as good as it was. But he's going to need a lot of luck from that draw, unfortunately. But he has got enough ability to figure and finish. Eastbro Christie's in good form again. Another one drawn badly, so it's going to be a bit tough from out there. But yeah, certainly got a few chances if my luck goes my way. But it'll depend a little bit on that. So yeah, certainly looking forward to a good day out at Hamilton. Anyway, there's lots of good races there.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably similar case with you, James. A big book of drives, some sticky draws there as well. What have you got? Race 1, number 11, Steal the Moment. Race 2, number 4, Snow Hunter. Race 4, number 11, Maxi Bomber. Race 6, number 5, She Will Want To. And race 8, number 5, Mickey Steamed Home. Any particular one you want to make a comment on?
Look, Steal the Moment's first up. He'll definitely need the run. And he's drawn pretty average around Hamilton over the short. So, it's definitely a front runner's track, and they'll be running time on Sunday. I'm sure that the track will have the track team will have it on, spot on, and it's definitely known as one of the fastest tracks in Victoria for a reason. So, Snow Hunter, I was really impressed with her run last start. I thought I had a lot of merit to it, and she ran along and ran good time over the long at Terang, which isn't really known to be an overly fast track. So she's definitely one to watch going forward. And Maxi Bomber, he's drawn 11 as well, so he'll find it hard from there. What else?
Mickey Steamed Home was the other one. She will want to.
Mickey Steamed Home. Yeah, look. Mixed in home, David Drew's horses are always competitive at Hamilton. I'm not too sure how it's been going. I'd say it's probably been racing at Mount Gambier or that. So, he does a great job with his horses, and they're always fit and ready to roll. So, if they're good enough, they generally go fairly close.
All right. Well, this is the part that everyone looks forward to. These are the best bets thanks to Sharp's Bakery and Birchip. I actually mapped it out from how far it is from where you both are. So it's about an hour and a half. So, it's not too far for you to duck up there and get a vanilla slice at Sharp's Bakery, but I'm sure you've ducked in there many times when you've been to a nearby race course like Charlton or something the like up there. Okay, so let's go for our best bets. Kez, OAM. Karen Manning, we'll go with you first.
I think it's got to be Rapid Return. Yeah, she's probably my best chance. And a shout out to Sharp's Bakery. The best vanilla slices you can get.
Good on you. Yeah, hopefully they'll give you an extra one next time you go there, Kez. One on the house. Good plug for a loyal sponsor. All right, Herbie. So Kez has gone Rapid Return at Shepparton on Saturday night. Let me just give you that number. That I will give that to you in just a moment. But Herbie, your best bet for the weekend.
I'm going to go Illong Stardust each way. Just a bit of a roughie and a bit of value there. So, if it doesn't knock Kezi off, definitely be running a place, I think, and you should get some good odds about it. So, Shawnee's been driving really well at the moment. He showed what he can do in the Young Gun series, and I've got some confidence in him in that race.
Goodness me, we've got a Kez and Herbie head-to-head Rapid Return. So it's race 6, number 6 for Karen, Rapid Return, and Herbie's saying race 6, number 7, Illawong Stardust on an each-way basis for Sean O'Sullivan, race 6, number 7. All right, Bronte, of our good form team, you are the one that absolutely just, towels us up with your selections at great value often. You've got a terrific strike rate. So, all right, the pressure's on you. What are you doing this weekend?
Well, the problem with me is I don't check the market before I tip, so I don't know if I'm tipping a short price favourite or a roughie, but I'm going to go with race 1, the number 10, Let's Rock, Let's Roll at Shepparton. For Ellen and John Tormey, I think it's got its chance to get back in the winner's circle. It was sensational last start when it smashed the line so well, and I just think it's back to its best, and it really is a horse that suits being safe for one run, and from that barrier, I think that's perfect. There's a horse in the race called Major Manbar, and he can get so fired up that no matter what happens, Chris Alford may not want to put speed on, but he may not have a choice from barrier 3 with Major Manbar, which will be perfect for Let's Rock, Let's Roll.
I reckon there's a horse that's going to improve big time in that race. Number 4, Harry Who. It was absolutely a flashing light, I thought, last week at Bendigo, a bit fitter now. And Michelle Phillips goes on. But no, my best bets for this weekend, I'm going the Mick Stanley double on Sunday. I think Mick's got a couple of good chances. Herbie, one that you know pretty well. You drove recently on Young Guns night, race 4, number 10, Soho Margarita. It might come up pretty short. If it comes up too short, race 8, number 2, Soho Americano, I reckon it'll be definitely short, Soho Americano, so maybe you can double them both. But it went pretty well last week or the other week, James, Soho Margarita.
Yeah, she was good. And she's coming out of that Skyfall benchmark race. And I think the form will stand up out of that race. And she's a nice little filly. She's well-mannered, and she's got a good motor there. So, she'll run a good race for you, I'm sure.
Well, it was my absolute pleasure to spend some time with some truly elite harness racing royalty, Karen Manning, James Herbertson and Bronte Newberg. Thanks for joining us on Burning Questions, and good luck this weekend to all of you.
Thank you.